What's up, y'all? Back again. Got the bro, Jason, over here. So we're going to talk with you guys again. This time kind of going back to the first topic of the collecting slash hoarding. But this time we're going to take it a step further and kind of present some ideas. I'm sure we've both got some different, although also maybe even similar ideas of ways that you can kind of recognize and like get a handle on your hoarding. And even like for me personally, I feel strongly about like ways of actually getting rid of stuff, because recognizing that it is what it is and actually doing something about it are two different things. So here we are. We're gonna kind of go over some ideas and bear with us. I want to throw this out there. I want to preface this. I always like saying that. I would think we're saying. I want to preface this by saying that we're not professionals. The doctor here is not actually a doctor.
Just like you guys, man. I'm a collector.
I'm just like you guys. I've no toys, no life. To be honest, as much as I'm talking about this stuff with you guys, like trying to present kind of like ideas and concepts of collecting not being just collecting, and there are kind of like negative aspects to it or dark sides to it. At the same time, look, SMU toys, no life. I love the hell out of toys, probably more than I should. If you guys know me, you know that's true. So I'm saying that my love for toys might even be more extreme than a lot of you. That's not bragging, because that's not necessarily a good thing. I'm not trying to say, "Ooh, I'm more of a collector." I'm just like, I love the hell out of toys, almost to a fault, almost too much. The difference is, like I said, I've kind of come to that, the understanding and recognition of the fact that my collecting is hoarding. Except I think that's a big part of it, right? Is accepting it as a fact, because there's, the opposite of that is the denial.
That's gonna come right off the bat. Most people are like, no, dude, I'm not a hoarder, and it's like,
exactly, because there's such a stigma. You hear that word, and you know what? I just thought of this just now. Like I want that to not be a bad word. Because I'm a realist. I'm all about like it is what it is. It's not necessarily bad. There are things that's bad. If you're a drug addict, that's probably really bad. I wouldn't know. I don't personally know any drug addicts. I've never been a drug addict myself, but I would imagine the negative aspects of that present real life, threats and dangers not only to yourself but to your family. So like with something like collecting, which we should all just be having fun with. That's why I want to say that there is a reality to it, but it doesn't have to be a bad thing. Just because you're hoarding toys doesn't necessarily be a bad thing. Now, like with any kind of hoarding, there are extremes that it can get to a point where it actually has a really adverse negative effect on your life, the collector's life, and yours or their families and friends. So that's a different case. I'm not really focusing personally too much on that. That kind of thing needs probably some more serious help than we can give. But if you're in an earlier stage and not that bad, I think some of the stuff that we've talked about and talk about can help you. Kind of like nip it in the bud, so to speak. So.
Yeah, we're here to just give you guys information. If you can, if it resonates with you or helps you guys out, you can catch it a little earlier. If you get past the denial of it and just accept it for what it is, right? Then you just take baby steps at it. It's a process with anything, right?
Yeah.
Process with anything. It's going to be a really tough process for us because we've been doing it for so long. It's Mock, it sounds like for Mock, it's a passion. For me, it was a passion. It still is, but life adjustments, things that I'm doing, I'm focusing on different things here and there. So, it's just like anything. It just takes time.
Yeah, and honestly, I want to say it's kind of like realistically, sometimes in life, and this is one of those things like stuff like advice, and it goes beyond just like the world of toy collecting and collectors. But sometimes in life, no matter how much somebody could warn you or tell you or give you advice on something, you won't really understand it until you go through it yourself. You know, I don't want to get too off track because and my viewers know. And here's the thing. Here's what's cool. Hi, Jason's Facebook friends and family. Right. It's cool. It's cool. We're bringing in more people than just my usual SMU Toys YouTube viewers. But as always, I love you guys. Fist pump to you guys. But yeah, I don't want to. Oh, I was gonna say because my viewers know I can ramble the hell out of stuff and totally get off track and stuff. But there's like something that happened to me when I was young. When I was young, I was like a lot of rebellious youth. I had weird phases, and I was honestly. And this is probably something I've never really talked about. Even if I have mentioned, I've never really talked about it. I went through a satanic phase, an anti-Christian phase, and I remember. And this is in a way, this is actually sharing something really personal with you guys. So I was like really young. I want to say 17, 18, maybe somewhere around there. And I was at a party, and I totally. Realistically, I did not fit in. It was not a kind of, but it was like a childhood friend. I went to this party, and it was like, I lived in the hood, and so it was all like kind of, just a typical kind of slash or Filipino slash like hood party. And here I was dressed in all my Metal Gear and spikes and inverted crosses and stuff like that. And so this dude talked to me. I really don't remember at the time how old this guy was, but he was obviously a parent already.
Sure.
And he wasn't trying to like argue with me or change my mind, but he said something that stuck with me all those years. It didn't change my mind about my ideals at the time, but it stuck with me. And then when I experienced it for myself, then I realized. So that's what he was talking about. He basically said something along the lines of, you may think this stuff is cool now, or thinking the way you are is cool. But trust me, someday when you have a kid, your perspective on everything, especially God, will change. And of course, I was a rebellious youth, so I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah, sure enough. I mean, I came into the faith eventually anyway, but having a kid, that's next level. It totally changed everything. So he was right, but again, it came down to the fact that until I experienced it for myself, I really couldn't know. So I'm sorry I kind of rambled and went on a tangent there about something different, but that's just to put in perspective the fact that even though we're presenting these ideas and kind of like trying to help, sometimes it won't really sink in until you make those realizations on your own, and then our words, then they might be more helpful when you actually decide to accept and make changes yourself. So
I mean, yeah, just take the information for what it is, guys. If you guys decide you want to do, kind of follow it, it's up to you. If you don't, you don't. Like Mark says, maybe you'll figure it out someday.
Yeah.
The information will still be up there for you, and maybe they come back to it later.
Yeah.
We still love y'all, so it's all good. It's all good, man.
It's just, we're just sharing. That's all we're doing. Like I said, this isn't about us. This is about all of us.
Yeah.
We're just presenting ideas, and like I said at the start, it's like we're no professionals. We're not experts. However you want to look at it, this is a discussion or a podcast. However, it's just two dudes hanging out and talking ideas.
Yeah.
We didn't plan. There's no script. There's no what's the thing when you're on TV and there's the things.
There's no prompter.
The teleprompters.
We're straight winging this.
We're winging it. I mean, if you guys know me, that's how I am. Some people might put more effort into these things, but honestly, that's not me. That's not the way I am with you guys. So anyway.
Genuine this way, man.
Yeah,
that's right. That's what I'm. It's real.
You know, like how many times, like in the last video or even early in this, I was like, I just thought of just now, you know. Yeah. So anyway, all right. So right off the bat, any kind of tips as far as like tackling?
I know, because before we started, I was telling Mark about this. It's just us as collectors, right? Just don't feed like actually because some of like our other videos that we just did recently. But the hype, just don't get caught up in the hype. That you see other people getting something that you need it. Because what the hell? What happens if it's something that you don't even know nothing about? If it's just some character or whatever, it's something you're like, I just had to have it. You really didn't.
Yeah.
Just straight up, just be deliberate about it.
Okay, wait. First of all, if I hadn't said it in the first video, we don't actually need any of this, right? These are just things. That doesn't go for just toys. Material things. If it's not a necessity for life, it's not actually something we need. But I get it, and I still will say I need this. Like, all right, like I was talking about the hype. Like I'll see this or that. Like I need that in my life, but you know, at the same time, realistically, I know I don't actually need any of this. Because come on, not to get like what's the word, like spiritual or religious, but we can't take the stuff with us when we die. Right? Come on. What's the bottom line? We die. What do these become? Just things. You know? And I don't know about you guys or anyone else, but it's like chances are your family's not going to care about this stuff, you know, unless they're geeks and collectors too. I want to knock on wood on that one. I don't want my daughter to grow up the way I did and be a collector. And I mentioned it before. We're really trying hard for her not to be spoiled with toys and turn any love she has for toys into collecting. So anyway, this isn't stuff we need. It's stuff we like. You know, it's stuff we might even, I would go so far as to say genuinely love, but I would also advise anyone to not be delusional and make the mistake of thinking that they love these things the same way they love people.
Yeah, man.
Totally.
If this stuff burns down, guys, I'm sorry. Like, you better, you know, your direction of what you love, it probably should be people. I know I'm learning that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, there might be, like, if I could, there would be stuff I would try to save, but family or any human being under this house at the time, if it was burning down, I will make them the priority. And honestly, if you love your things, and again, this doesn't go just about toys, if you love any of your things more than you love any real people in your life, that is kind of on that aspect of where it's kind of not right. That's one of those that's where it's not good. It's not good.
It's not healthy. That's not good.
It's not healthy there. That's the best way to put it. So I have a few tips as far as getting rid of stuff, but it's like, should we go into first, like, is there any, like, before you get to the point of actually getting rid of stuff, like what's the steps? Like, what comes before that? Accepting, recognizing, because, like, I mean, you have to want to get rid of stuff. Like, I wouldn't tell anybody, hey, get rid of your stuff if they're not ready to get rid of stuff.
It's okay. So the habit of us, it's a habit of us collecting stuff already, right? And we've done it so long, right? We've gotten, it's basically it's memory muscle, and it's just knowing to do it, right? Now you're developing that in the opposite. You're trying to get rid of stuff, and I think I touched on it in the first video. It's first couple times it's gonna be hard, right? But like I was just telling you, if you have stuff that's in your collection that you haven't, it has no place in your collection. You don't value it, you don't love it. Then you know what? Maybe you should just let go of it, right? Just let go of it, because maybe the next collector might find joy or love in it because they actually follow that stuff, right? So far as that, so then the more you do like one or two items that's kind of like that, it'll get easier. Then you'll start looking more broader into your collection, going like, I really can get rid of that. I don't need it. I really don't need that one. Like, whatever it is, you know, whether it's something like me, I'm in the Batman or watching the Transformers and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. There might be certain things in those waves that you might not even want anymore. Like, why did I get it? And since you've already started to develop it with all the other stuff that you're starting to get, either get rid of or donate or whatever it is, you can start tackling those ones that you would think would be hard. It's always going to be hard to do something when you first start out, but the more and more you do it, it becomes a habit, and then the habit becomes a routine. And if you can build that routine, then it just gets easier and easier, right? Because you already built up the muscles to do it.
There you go. I forget. Have you watched Tidying Up with Marie Kondo?
I've watched a couple episodes of her, yeah.
So it's funny because my wife and I really got into the series. But the thing is, even before that came out, I already had developed my own sense of, letting go of stuff. That's, if you go, I want to say something. I showed Jason before we started shooting this. An old video of mine. It's an old video that I only uploaded a year ago, apparently, but the video itself is from like 5 or 6 years ago, from when I was still living at my parents' house back in San Diego. So it was like, because at the time I'd already seen that show, the Collection Intervention, and so I kind of jokingly called it SMU Toys Needs a Collection Intervention, and I remember doing the video, but I haven't rewatched it in a long time. And so I was watching it again. And if you have a chance, go search it up. Just on YouTube, look up SMU Toys Needs a Collection Intervention. There's probably going to be a few videos that come up because I did it in several parts. And the first one that's probably going to come up on the search is the one that says that part 1. But there's another one that was an edited version. There's a full 20 minute version. That'll really put it in a perspective of where I was in my at the height of my toy hoarding. And it's cool because even though I will still say now at this very point, my collecting is hoarding because I accept and I recognize, accept, and understand that fact. I've also come a really long way. If you were to look at that now, and maybe one of these days I'll shoot an update for you guys to see the difference of where I'm at now compared to what it was. Because here, to put it in perspective. So this was my parents' house, 2-story house. Was it four bedroom? My bedroom was filled. My old bedroom was filled. The guest room was filled. The upstairs hallway was filled. My parents' room filled. My parents' closet filled with my stuff. All, I want to say at least 75 to 80% toys, but just all my stuff. Filling up my parents' house. When I shot the video, apparently I'd already did some cleaning up. The living room and the downstairs hallway was already cleared up. But there was a time, I guess, shortly before that, the living room. Can you imagine that? Walking into a house, the living room where you should be hanging out is just filled with boxes. And then the downstairs hallway and then the garage, just all filled with my stuff. And again, mostly toys. So I've come a long way. And it's one of those things where I know it sounds cheesy or it sounds cliche, but if I can do it, you can do it too. I know I want to think one of the biggest problems with the toy collecting is attachment. And a false sense of attachment to things that it's they don't really love. It's because that goes with hoarding in general. You just that false sense of needing to keep everything, like you said, the just in case. Yeah, I think that's a big part of it.
What's that mean? We broke it down that first video. Just in case means someday. What does someday mean? Never.
Yeah.
Like I said with those pop tea boxes. Why was I keeping them? They were not bringing me joy or happiness. I said it. I had joy and happiness throwing them away, but they honestly were just sitting there building up space and just clutter.
So that's one right there. Boom. Boxes. How many of you save? Now it's one thing. Again, I'm not I'm not trashing sealed collectors, but if you're not a sealed collector, if you're collecting these toys and you're taking them out of the boxes, but you're still saving the boxes,
what's the point?
Why?
It's
Why?
like if I go home tonight, and this is still sealed, guys. Right, the necklace set from the '80s. You know, they read it, and I brought this just to show. But if I open it, it's like Mark said, dude. I'm gonna probably just display more what Kelly does. You know, at Real Toys in Henderson.
What's up, Kelly?
What's up, Kelly? Shout out to you. You can follow her on Instagram. It was a Toy Girl 702.
Hey,
right?
Kelly, why don't you join us for one of these days?
But she, you know, she, and this was good. Like, she gave me a shout out in the first video. It was a random act of faith. She was looking at this Hela figure from the Thor Ragnarok build a figure for Planet Hulk, right? The Gladiator Hulk. She really wanted that figure. And now we're talking about how it is to let go of something, right? I bought that figure, and I just bought it because I wanted it. It was a really cool looking figure. It just sat on my shelf. Straight up sat on my shelf, and I could see in her face that weekend, like, she's like, I've been waiting, like, I really wanted this, you know, but she's got a lot of stuff going on. I was like, well, how long have you waited? She's like 72 hours. I'm like, all right. I got home and I was just thinking about it, and I just started praying about it. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go with what you're saying. You know, I'm gonna gift it to her. So I gave it to one of my buddies from work because he was gonna go down there and see her that week, and I was like, dude, just give her this, and I even put a little note on there. And I know that it would bring her joy. And you want to know how I get joy out of it? Knowing when she does like pictures, when she goes out to the bar or whatever, she likes to take pictures of her figures with her. It goes on journeys with her. That is hella rewarding for me because I follow her on there, and then I can comment on, and it brings me joy to see that. Like,
Yeah.
she's genuinely having fun with it. Like,
Yeah.
what was it doing for me? Just sitting on a shelf doing nothing, and it adds stress to me because I'm like, why did I even buy that figure if it's not going to be used for anything? Just sit there, build up dust, like. And that's a part of letting go. And if anybody's like me, that's how I feel like I get rewarded from it, like, and how I can have love in it and joy, right? Because I gave it to somebody else, they're enjoying it now, and at the same time I can still get enjoyment because of the pictures, man. That is so dope.
And I'm sure it's like it's still something you liked, or you wouldn't have it in the first place. Right. But the fact that you knew someone would benefit and enjoy from it more than you do. Yeah. You gave it up. Yeah. That's a good way to look at things. Think about that for a second. You know, you mentioned a lot, and it's been something I've been more about in the past, like, you know, helping the community and helping fellow collectors and stuff. But like, think about that. If you do have stuff that, like, look around what you can see right now of your collection, and like, if you see stuff that you know, like a friend of yours, would enjoy more than you do, like, you like it, or even worse, you know, if it's stuff that you just have but you don't even really like, think about a friend you know that would really like that and just give it to them, you know.
Or hey, because Mock has kids, or he has a kid, right? Maybe that friend that you have has a kid, right? And ideally, I get it. Like, everyone's always like, oh, you're a collector of toys. Like, what do you use, 5? Do you remember the time when you were 5 and you got a toy that you really wanted, or not even a toy that you knew about, but you were like, cool, somebody got me something, and you got joy, and you go play with it, right?
Yeah.
If you were to give that to your friend that has a kid, or let's just say you donated it and you knew it was going to a kid, there's joy and happiness in that. Like, I got to see my great nephew. Like, I gave him a couple Ninja Turtle figures from the new line, and I was like, hopefully his mom doesn't get pissed at me, but. Because now he's going to probably want everything. But he's just a kid, you know, and dude, his face lit up with it. And I thought about myself when I was his age. And I was just like, that's instant, like, awesome.
You know what's awesome. Cool about that is it kind of takes me back. But I just want to say, just to kind of expand on what you're saying, that's a good point. I try as much as possible, like, when we have, like, friends with kids over. Unfortunately, a majority of, like, our friends' kids are girls, and I just don't happen to have as many girl stuff in my personal collection. But, like, if there's a boy or something, and I'm like, I know I've got sections, like, especially in the garage, of stuff that is, like, to be gotten rid of, or stuff like that. I'd be like, oh, look for something real quick. Like, what can I give this kid? You know, what figure or toy or Hot Wheels or whatever. Or even sometimes, like, I'll ask Summer, is there anything that you can let go of that we can give to this or that person that's coming over, so that, you know, because I think that's a good point. Like you're saying, like, the joy it brings them. I think stuff like that. It's one thing, regardless of a parent spoils their kid or not, but it's one thing if they're getting stuff from their parent, but to randomly get something from like a friend or something like that, a parent's friends, it's like it's special. It's like, wow, somebody gave me a toy today, and I think they'll treasure. Not only will it bring them happiness, but they'll really treasure and remember that. So that's a good thing to do.
I just came up with that. That just came out. Some of the thoughts that I had, they don't come from me. I know where they come from. They come from a higher power, man. I mean, I have to speak on it. Like it hits me, and I'm like, dude, that's good. Yeah, I'm gonna say that.
Yeah, I'm sure. And Jason's been actually mentioning his faith. If you really know me on a personal level, or even just throughout my YouTube years, you know that I am Catholic. I am a religious person, but I honestly don't bring it up that much. But that's a good way to put it. It's like the ways that you help people, or that you're doing things and trying to make a difference. It comes from somewhere. It's for a reason. I get what you're saying. The whole like I've been put here for a reason kind of thing. So, yeah. I want to go back to what because I asked if you watched the show Tidying Up, and I actually want to present that, pose that as a question to all of you. If you have seen that show, it's on Netflix. It's Tidying Up with Marie Kondo. My wife was actually a fan even long before the show. She was familiar with it's referred to as the KonMari method of like decluttering. And we've mentioned, I think we've brought it up several times, how like clutter actually does have a negative mental and emotional effect. I know this to be true because for as much as I've let go of stuff, I still have a lot of stuff, and a lot of stuff that actually is stuff that is like sectioned off to be gotten rid of, but it's time consuming. So it's stuff that I feel is still weighing on me. It's not physically weighing on me, but it is mentally and emotionally, just because it's still there, sitting there, wasting space. Time wasted, it sitting there and not getting rid of them. But so there's some great. If you watch that show, and you probably only need to see an episode or two to really already get her method. But the only reason I'm really even bringing it up as an example is because one of the biggest things is when you look at your material things. Again, this isn't just about toys. Does it? It's gonna sound cheesy saying this because I'm just quoting Marie Kondo here. Does it spark joy? We have a lot of things. And as collectors, we have a lot of these toys. We have a lot of these action figures. But does each and every one of them actually make you happy, or do you have it just to have it? So I think on the surface, that's one of the simple ways to look at if it's something you should keep or not.
Yeah.
And I know we're already like a half hour into this. But I want to say this is probably something that we're not going to cover all the bases right now.
Right.
This is almost like it's just scratching the surface because honestly, I don't want to throw out another hour-long video for you guys of 45 minutes max, and we're already at a half hour. And like we're barely scratching the surface. So realistically, and especially if you guys are enjoying this kind of thing that we're doing, sharing with you guys, stay tuned because we're barely getting started.
We're laying down the groundwork. That's what.
Yeah.
We're just laying down the groundwork. We're gonna keep going on it, man.
Yeah. So one thing I do want to bring up real quick. So let's say, for example, you are already ready to let go of stuff. You've embraced the fact that, hey, I've got too much stuff. I want to let go of stuff. So there's the Marie Kondo or the KonMari method of like basically it's as simple as, does this item spark joy? But I look at things like when I consider my toys, I look at them on a couple different levels, and those are I have a few examples here. It's not even all the different levels or examples, but for example, and this goes back to like kind of like the previous, where it's like a figure that it not only met but exceeded my expectations and my hype for it. So something like this Mezco 112 Batman. Let me start by saying, like, a lot of other things. I don't know how to put it technically, but I want to say I'm kind of really. I was about to say fluid, but honestly, a better way to put it is I can kind of be fickle with my collections because, like I mentioned in the past with Transformers, like I've collected all the Chug lines since the original 2007 Transformers Classics. And every time a new line comes out, I'll get rid of the entire previous line. Marvel Legends. I collect a ton of Marvel Legends. I'm constantly going through the collection and being like, I don't need this character, I don't need this character, so I'm constantly thinning out. But then you've got ones like this, that it's like, no, this dude is worthy. Yeah, it was expensive, but it's really worthy. Right. It's really something that I can appreciate. That there's no, like, clearly it was worth it because it's something that I actually truly like. And then these two examples, this is something more recent. So in the past, I honestly have been, and it's still kind of a concept that I still apply. Like, just because something was a gift doesn't mean you have to keep it forever. I know a lot of people, like, just because something was a gift to them, they're like, well, I can't get rid of this. This was a gift. But you know what? Even if you got rid of it, you know what never changes? The fact that that was given as a gift. The fact that whoever gave it to you, gave it to you for whatever reason they gave it to you doesn't mean you have to keep it, because the same thing applies to that, same as all your stuff. You're going to die someday, and that essentially becomes meaningless. You brought up something that I think we both have talked about a little, maybe in the first one, how it's like, as long as you've, like, taken a picture or something, you have something to remember it by. You don't have to have it. Are you actually? I mean, unless you're really doing something with it constantly.
That's what I mean. The minimalists talk about that. That's what Josh and Ryan talk about. They're like, if it's something that's that resonates with you, right? You have sentimental value because somebody gave it to you, like you were saying, as a gift. Or for me, just this last week, I had one in one of my challenges. It was the very first jacket I ever bought for my first paycheck. Working. I kept it. I can't fit it anymore. So I'm like, I'm not gonna, I'll take a picture of it. Did it, and yeah, I was thinking, this is gonna be hard. It was easy. Took a picture, I folded it up, I put it up for the donation thing, and it's gonna be gone. And I was okay with it because if it gets to that point where it starts to weigh on you, you gotta come to the agreement, like, okay, you know what, maybe it is time for me to let it go, because then the next person that'll have it will enjoy it and love it.
Yeah, and that's a good way to look at it. It's like, again, you always got to look at, if you aren't fully appreciating something, imagine someone out there, like, so I'm constantly letting go of stuff and mostly throwing them on eBay because it's the easiest way, especially like if I'm getting rid of whole collections, just throw it in a lot. But the way I look at it is like, man, I'm getting some money back for it, but at the same time, it's like, it feels good knowing that somebody's actually going to appreciate this stuff, because for me, they're just sitting in my collection doing nothing.
Sometimes these figures are in different regions, like they could be in different countries, they can't get it.
Yeah,
I know. Like with these Funko Pops, I know some there's like the exclusives, like I think Canada or Australia. Some of them they can't get the stuff we get in the States. And it's if you have it and you don't even want it in your collection anymore, if, like you said, if you sell it there on eBay, you get a little bit of cash, but that person over there in that country gets it and they'll enjoy it because they could never get it, and that was something they really wanted.
Yeah. And then so I wanted to go on these. So this is something a little new because like I've been given a lot of toys and figures, over the years for birthday, Christmas, whatever. It isn't, it might sound sad but true, it isn't often that I actually get like a toy from my wife, or even like most recently from my kid. So the Psylocke here, my wife, this was for Christmas, and this Optimus Prime, even though I showed this recently, this was from my daughter. Like my wife for my birthday, she literally showed my daughter, my 4-year-old, Summer, like my Amazon wish list, and she had her pick something for me. And my wife was like, all right, because she knows that I have no problem letting go of stuff in my collection if I feel it's time to let go of. But she was like, well, that's from summer, so you can never get rid of that, which is funny because I've said how many times, like, when a new set of Transformers comes out, I'll get rid of all the previous ones. But guess what? This one's a keeper now. Same with this Psylocke here. I mean, I love them anyway. Like, this is like the best chug, modern update Optimus Prime we've gotten, and same with this Revoltech Psylocke. This is amazing. But it's like I have that kind of sentimental reason to hold on to these. A lot of other things, no problem. If you know me, or if you don't know me, I should say, I've gotten rid of stuff. Like, imagine, if you don't know, through adulthood, I had held on to all my childhood toys. We're talking, all that 80s, some 70s stuff too. Star Wars, Transformers, G.I. Joe, He-Man, Thundercats, Silverhawks, Starcom, Micro Machines, Hot Wheels, you name it, everything that I had. And I was this is probably another topic I could get into another time, but I was pretty spoiled as a kid. I had all that, and I held on it through my adulthood. I only started letting go of stuff later on when I needed money and stuff like that. But at the time, it's like a lot of collectors and friends were super shocked to see that I could let go of that stuff. Some of them were even boxed. I had some boxed Transformers. I had a minty fresh G1 Jetfire, still white in box, not sealed, but still in the box and complete and everything, barely played with. But the point being, that when I decide it's time to let go of something, I got no problem letting go of it because I don't really have that sense of attachment like I need it,
And sometimes by not doing that, like, kind of sparks something to the friends too or family. When you see a friend or family member doing it and it's coming so easy, like, how can you do that? And then you ask them and they'll tell you, and then you're like, man, maybe I could do that too, right? And you just try it out. And then you start to feel like, all right, I kind of see what Mark went through now. Now I can kind of feel that. I'm getting it. Like, okay, cool. Now it's getting a little easier, right?
I actually on that note, I brought up the same issue with some of my actual close personal friends who are fellow collectors, who are also people who don't really get rid of stuff and like don't understand as much how easy I could get rid of stuff. But one of the things I've told them is, dude, just try it out. Get rid of some stuff. And not only will you feel lighter, but get this. Here's a big plus side of it. Especially if you're throwing stuff on eBay. Once that money starts coming in, that sparks a new kind of joy. Because you might be somebody that discovers, oh man, I just really enjoy this money coming in. But also as a collector, like for me personally, I get rid of my stuff to get more stuff. I know that sounds like a vicious cycle, but the reason I'm saying that is to fund my collecting, I get rid of stuff. It's like out with the old, in with the new. So it's like when I get rid of stuff and that money comes in, then it's like, oh, okay, now I can use this to buy something else new that I've wanted,
Here's one other tip too, Mark. Okay, so for us to want to do gifts for us as collectibles or collectors, right? How about you give them a gift that's not like a product or anything? How about something that's consumable? Gift card for iTunes or iOS for like music or whatever, right? I just did one recently for some friends, coffee, Starbucks coffee, like gift card, or just be like experience. Hey, here's the one for Regal Sim or whatever, like the movie theaters. And then you guys can go together, right? And you're having an experience together, right?
You know what? That's a good point. And I feel it's going slightly off topic, but again, it's who cares about really topic? We're just talking here, and realistically, we can only cover so much in one video anyway. Yeah. But on that note, I want to say one thing. Now, if you're the kind of person, everybody's different, especially collectors. Collectors, I want to say, by and large, are special kind of people. We're not like just everyone else in the world. And a lot of collectors, and and the battery notification just came on. So we're on. Sorry, we're actually gonna wrap this up real soon. Not only is my battery about to die, we're running almost on 45 minutes, and my phone's gonna chop the video anyway. But there's a good amount. I don't want to even say majority, but there's a good amount of like people who are nerds and collectors and geeks and stuff like that who aren't the most social people.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And that's the thing though. But if you have family and friends, look into like spending more time like just having fun. Yeah. Doing stuff out in the world. Again, I'm not trying to say stop collecting, but
experiences.
Movies,
go out to eat, right? Go out to eat. That was always a thing. Who doesn't want to go out to eat? And then you can conversate, right?
Food. Come on, food. I love me some food ventures. You know?
Yeah.
Like honestly, like that's one of my if only, you know, again, marriage and parenthood changes everything, but still, for as little as time as we have, I'm speaking now personally, like for my wife and I and our kid and our little family, for as busy as we all are, we, as much as possible, try to spend time with people, friends and family, friends and bros. You know, in a way, like, so we're doing these, like, now, I guess you can kind of call it a series of videos, but this is also just us hanging out. This is us getting together and hanging out, you know. I've been wanting to do stuff like this for a long time, and we're just doing it.
Yeah.
You know, we're hanging out. Like, I could be talking to you, but you know what's even cooler than just me talking to you? Hanging out with a bro, and both of us talking to you, you know? All of you out there in YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and, you know, all that good stuff. So okay. I hate that I have to cut this off. My phone's about to die. I should have thought about it and plugged it in. But any other last thoughts you want to share to wrap this thing up?
Until our next video, guys. Just take from what it is that we said today and just, you know, try to apply some of it if you want. Watch the video a couple times if you need to.
Yeah. And
or listen to it.
Listen to it. It's almost like, should we figure out how to turn this actually into just like some sort of, I don't even know how podcasts work. Where do you?
I'm gonna have to research.
Yeah, maybe we might have to start separating or doing this and like having somewhere where you can just listen to it instead of having to play it on YouTube or something like that. Sure. You know, that might work better for some people. Again, we're not professionals. We're not, you know, pros and
just
in this.
A bunch of collectors like
or experts,
some bros just hanging out, just having a good time, talking,
sharing
each other and
sharing thoughts and ideas. So, until the next one, I really hope you guys enjoyed. And again, whether it's on Jason's Facebook or SMU Toys Facebook or actually here on YouTube, if you have any thoughts or ideas you want to share with us, feel free to comment or message. You know, if you have any questions, or again, like especially if you have like ideas for topics you'd like to see us talk about with you guys, please share it. You know, that'd be really cool. I would be honored to be able to, you know, we're sharing thoughts, that stuff that we're like, hey, let's talk about this. But, you know, it'd be cool to get your input and then tackle topics you guys want to hear about, you know. And everything's cool. Anything's cool with me. So thanks again for coming over, man.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Have a blessed one, guys.